Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I've got the rack washed off and it's dry now. So I'm going to use something that I picked up at a garage sale. Yep, the Speed Blaster. I'm going to see if I can get it to work. I bought a part for it today. It cost me all of $4.98. It was expensive. So I'm going to hook up the air to it. I got the compressor running. I've got the long air hose out here. And I'm going to put the part in it that it needs to have. And then we're going to try it out. See if I can get some rust removed off of this rack. Before I blast this thing, I have one more thing to do. I've got a hole here that needs to have a bolt in it. And I want to put a 1/4-inch carriage bolt in it. So I'm going to drill out the hole. Nice drill, Matt. Now what I've got is a little thing they call the carburetor. What does the carburetor do? Well, it uses a venturi to entrain air into a system. So I need to have this little black piece of steel go down into this hole like that, and this goes in and locks it in place. This is the nozzle. Now what you run into, somebody takes that nozzle out, pulls the trigger, that little steel piece takes off at a high rate of speed. Yeah, I'm popping sand out of it now. So before I start putting sand in it, I'm going to put on my protective equipment. Why am I doing that? I want to make sure that the dust mask is fitted to my face. When you put your hands over the intakes and breathe in, it should not let any outside air in. And as you can see, this one's buckling, it's not doing that. So, my dust collection system is just the outside air but my dust prevention system is on my face. Now, I open up this canister and I pour some sand in it. Now this is sand. You're not really supposed to use sand. You're supposed to use blast media because it doesn't have any silica in it. Well, that's a nice story, but it's not true. The paint that I'm going to blast off is just as bad as the dust coming off of this sand. So I put on a dust mask to protect myself from everything. Now this is not resistant to gas. This is only for dust. Something tells me I don't have this assembled it correctly. I'm not getting a lot of blast out of it. I was having a problem with the assembly. The cone wasn't in all the way because the insert wasn't fully seated. That blocked off the intake for the sand, and that meant that I wasn't getting much sand out of the nozzle. What was coming out quite quickly, but it wasn't much volume. I would expect to run through this canister within a minute or two. When I was disassembling it, I pulled the plug out so I could run a rod down through there and knock that carburetor steel slug out. Then I forgot to put the plug back in. Now let's see how we do. Well, it does seem to work pretty well. Once I gave it a chance and put the sand down where it was doing some good and got the airflow going correctly by putting that plug back in, I'm having real good success with it. It's going to go through sand really fast. Recycling system for the sand would be handy. They make a little nozzle for capturing the sand, the media that you're blasting out of it. I don't know that you can reuse the media, but they do make a thing to capture the media. Right now I'm going to get another container full and we'll try it again. This is just play sand. One of the problems with play sand is it has large grains and small grains. It's not sifted, not run through a sorting screen. That's why you saw the nozzle plugging up. But I can get it going again just by putting the nozzle against the surface and then pulling the trigger and blowing the air back through the sandbag or the sand container. I don't recommend that as a constant thing. You want to get good clean media, and I'm going to need to get a better screen. I'm using a piece of window screen to sift this blast media. Sand works. Sand has worked for me for 50 years. Longer than that. Alumina, good stuff. Fly ash, good stuff. All the different garnets and every other kind of media you want to talk about, they all work quite well. Sand, okay, it doesn't work quite as good. It's a little bit, you have to fuss with it more. You have to filter it, you have to run it through the screens. But it costs about $3 for a 90-pound bag. The media, last time I bought garnet, it cost me 130 bucks for a 5-gallon bucket. It's a lot more than that now. I lived at the old house then. Tells you how long it was. So, you make your own choice. Myself, I'm going to probably keep using sand, but I am going to get a better filter. Like I said, I'm going to get a sifter for the media so I can get the larger chunks out, keep it from plugging up the little valve in there. But as you can see, I got down to white metal. Took the paint off, took the rust off. Once I got it going right, I got the nozzle put in where it belonged in the little carburetor in the right spot. It had to go in about another 1/4 inch. I had it, somebody had used it before without the nozzle, without the little carburetor. I imagine it does throw sand out of it, but it doesn't work very well. That's why they sold it for 5 bucks. They were disgusted with it, I'm sure. Sandblasters can be finicky. If they get dirty, junky blast media, they'll clog up and choke on you all the time. If the media is too fine, they won't cut. You want a mix of coarse and fine together. Coarse knocks the big chunks off and fine polishes. So for the kind of work that I do, sand is going to work just fine, but if I was into, say, jewelry or something like that, I probably would get a different kind of media. Depends on what it is. But for 5 bucks plus another $5 for the little metal piece, I think I got a good blaster. I wanted to do this just because it was out and easy to get to. Big thing I was thinking, underneath the rocker panels on the truck and on the car, I've got some rust spots, and I've got a blaster that'll reach underneath there and do it, but it's a big container blaster. That's the kind that that's the one that I used to do the porch. It takes off paint like nobody's business. It doesn't plug either. Everything on it is big enough to drive a truck through. And it goes through goes through media very quickly, but it's got a big container. So you fill it up and it'll run you probably 15-20 minutes. And what I do is I blast over a tarp. Usually when I'm using that, I'm doing something rather big. I put a tarp down on the ground. Like when I blasted the front of the house and cleaned off the brick, I laid a tarp down, picked up the sand, ran it through the filter, and put it back into the blaster again. That way I don't have to spend huge amounts of money to just throw media at something and then throw it away. So now my air compressor is telling me, you're working me too hard, you got to give me a rest. It's really because I got the wrong regulator on it and it's dumping air like nobody's business. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. I gotta go get the sand off. The face shield keeps it from hitting my face, but it's raining down, it's in my hair, it's on my clothes, it's all over the place. Have a good night.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.
Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Neighbor dog likes to see me. Wants me to come over and talk to her at the fence, but I'm kind of busy. Get you over here where you can see, and we're going to test this thing out, see if it works.